So I am Renée de St. Croix, and I'm a senior long-range planner with the City of Burnaby. I'm currently the project new Burnaby Transportation Plan. And so today I want to run you through some of the key components of this plan and how we're going to move forward in a post-COVID era. And we're looking forward to 2050, so it's a long-range plan. So let's see here. Okay, so I just want to start with a quick timeline update. So we finished phase one, which was about setting our direction. We have a vision, themes, and goals for this project. We're currently in the phase two, building the proposals piece, where we're looking at our targets, our big moves, our policies, and our networks, and wanting to really get out there and share this with the public. We're about to begin our public consultation in July, so we hope that you'll engage with us on these proposals. And following that, we'll be doing a phase three, which is really where we actually create the draft plan document. We'll include actions and an implementation strategy, and all of this to kind of move our transportation goals forward. So I wanted to start with this image of transportation for all. We started from this place of really wanting to see what could we as a city do to really transform transportation in our city. And the number one question we came up with was, what if our streets were not just corridors for movement, but public spaces to be enjoyed by all? So this really transformed the foundation of our plan and came up with this new way of thinking about transportation in our city, not just about movement, but about how we enjoy those spaces as well. So with phase one, we came up with a vision. In Burnaby, all travel choices are enjoyable, and the transportation system is the foundation of our thriving public spaces and our quality of life. The transportation system not only moves people and goods between destinations, but provides places for people to meet and participate in city life. It is a balanced and inclusive system that offers accessible, safe mobility in support of a healthy, green, prosperous, and connected community. So this sets the tone and our aspirations for how we want to move forward. And within that, we came up with the themes and goals for this plan that really are the key topics we need to address through all of our policies. We want it to be accessible, safe, healthy, green, prosperous, and connected. And we have a list we want to achieve through the plan. So we took the phase one consultation to heart, which had a lot of issues and opportunities that were brought up. And we used them as the foundation for our draft proposals, which is what I'm going to present now and what we're going to be going out for public consultation with. So the three citywide targets, the first is a vision zero. We want 0 deaths or serious injuries on Burnaby's transportation network. This highlights the safety is a key priority for the city. And in order to achieve this, we want to make sure that we prioritize the vulnerable users. We want to transform our infrastructure, and we want to reduce our overall speeds through the city. The second major citywide target is a mode split target. By 2050, we want 3/4 of all our trips originating in the city to be by transit or active transportation. And we've set these interim goals or interim targets to help us benchmark along the way. And the key here is that this really tries to address this fundamental space challenge that we have. The key actions to achieve this are going to be prioritizing these modes above others. We are going to be integrating our land use and transportation planning even more, and building our infrastructure to support these modes, as well as managing parking to facilitate this shift. So the third citywide target is the 0 emissions, which both Moreno and Zoe had talked about. By 2050, we want 0 emissions from transportation. And again, we've set the interim benchmarking to help us get there. And it's important to know that within the city of Burnaby specifically, almost 50% of our emissions come from transportation activities. So in order to achieve this goal or this target, the key actions include building these complete communities, switching to low and 0 emission vehicles, incorporating green design and infrastructure, and encouraging more walking, cycling, and transit use as we go forward in a post-COVID era. So those 3 targets really highlight how we're going to, they're the measurable outcomes of what we want to achieve. But how do we do it? That's the next big question. So what we've come up with is 6 big moves, 36 policy directions, and 6 networks to help us get there. So we've broken them down into the kind of key modal sections. So the first is our land use, public realm, and transportation piece. And the big move here is to really create these and implement the public realm and street standards for all areas of the city. So this really acknowledges that where we have more people, we need more and better public realm for them to use. And the policy directions facilitate this implementation of this infrastructure to help people get out and walk and take transit and cycle. So the network highlights those areas where we expect to see more people and what we need to look at in order to provide that public realm. The second section is on walking and accessibility. So the big move here is to make walking and rolling the first choice for trips under 1 kilometer by building that high quality pedestrian infrastructure and amenities. So this includes not only building the sidewalks, but providing the benches, providing the street trees, providing all the infrastructure that makes it comfortable and enjoyable to walk in our city. We want to continue to promote walking. We want to be known as a walkable city. And the network that we've highlighted here shows where we currently do not have sidewalks, but also where we want to prioritize those sidewalks around our civic facilities, our senior centers, our schools, and our transit stations and stops. We really want to progress on our sidewalks. The third section is on cycling. We want to build the core of the cycling network by 2030. This would enable people to have access across the city, north, east, southwest, through the central area by bike by 2030. And the core network highlights these routes across the city to really provide that access. And the policy directions support this by requiring the infrastructure, the amenities, the end of trip facilities, and continuing to promote cycling within the city to grow our cycling within Burnaby. The fourth section is public transit. So we want to increase public transit ridership by enhancing the service, providing the amenities, and installing those priority measures. And the key here is that in a post-COVID era, we need to continue to support transit long after the pandemic ends. And part of this is to acknowledge that we really need to facilitate the user experience. We need it to be comfortable, reliable, frequent. And we've looked at how to include these transit priority measures such as bus lanes and queue jumpers and all the things that would further support transit use. The network shows these areas where we would hope to improve on our transit within the city, and we're continuing to work with TransLink on those options. The fifth section is goods and services movement. So the big move here is to really support that green movement of goods and services by encouraging the use of sustainable modes, particularly for local deliveries. This is a Burnaby plan, so we are focused on what we can do locally. And we want to encourage the use of those cargo bikes, the e-bikes, the e-vehicles to try to get those local deliveries in a more sustainable method. We also want to continue to optimize the opportunities around how we move goods and services within the city, including how we can consolidate deliveries so that you don't have 3 trucks delivering 3 packages to 1 location. The truck network highlights the truck routes throughout the city. And our final section is on driving. So the big move here is to achieve no increase in total vehicle kilometers traveled by Burnaby residents by 2050. So this is again focused on this shift to move people towards more walking, biking, and transit use, which will in turn make it better for drivers in the long term. So the policy directions are focused on reorganizing, redesigning our streets for better people moving capacity. In addition to that, we want to optimize our own operations, manage and really excel at safety as per our Vision Zero, and then continue to look at options around carpooling, car sharing, and other technologies that support these other methods of how we can move within the city under the driving category. The driving network highlights what our classification system is, and with that, it's fast and furious, but that's the Coles Notes version of what we are doing with transportation in Burnaby and how we hope to move forward towards 2050, towards carbon neutrality, towards dealing with the pandemic. All of this is very timely in all of our work. And so we look forward to consulting with you, and we'll see you in July.